When I open my Pinterest or the Instagram, I suddenly feel like my whole personality needs a makeover. Like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to be that girl now. The linen dress, matcha, Pilates girl with the pink cute outfit on, and the next thing I know, I'm standing in Miniso holding beige storage boxes, convincing myself that organization is healing. It is not. It's just shopping with a moral twist. Somewhere between romanticizing your life and rebrand yourself every season, we started believing that peace comes in an Amazon package. And I get it. It feels nice. New journal, new morning routine, new version of you. But lately, it is starting to feel like every time I try to improve myself, I lose a little more of myself. If you've ever looked around your perfectly curated desk and still felt now, if you have ever looked around your perfectly curated desk and still felt off, this video is for you. Because maybe we are not just tired, maybe we are just exhausted from pretending to be the aesthetic version of ourselves. Hi, this is Ria Vox, a space for women who are done trading their truth for the trends. So let's talk about it. Now, here's the thing, we have turned self improvement into self replacement. Every few months, there's a new it girl identity to try on. The clean girl, the soft girl, the lucky girl, the dark feminine era. And before we even figure out who we actually are, we're already halfway into someone else's aesthetic starter pack. And that constant switching, it's not harmless fun anymore. It's emotional fatigue. Because what we're really saying is, I don't trust who I am yet. So let me borrow someone else's looks to be more confident. But the truth is, we don't need a new personality. We need to reconnect with the one we have been editing out for likes and validation. You know what is ironic? Our moms and grandmoms didn't have Pinterest boards, but they had personality. They didn't curate a vibe, they were the vibe. They knew what they stood for. They had their rituals, rhythm, and raw confidence that they did not need digital proof. They wore their gold bangles and cotton saris with the same pride we now reserve our capsule wardrobes. They found beauty in being consistent and not constantly reinvented. And somewhere between their quiet confidence and our aesthetic obsession, we lost touch with that stillness, that grounded kind of self assurance that comes from knowing yourself and not branding yourself. Because here's the hard truth, the more we chase curated personalities, the further we drift from our cultural roots, where being graceful did not mean being polished and being feminine didn't mean being filtered. Maybe it's time we bring that energy back. The kind of woman who doesn't need a theme, a label, or a core. She just exists. And maybe that's what is missing today. Not another trend, but that quiet confidence our earlier era women had. They didn't need to announce their piece, they just lived it. They didn't post their authenticity, they just practiced it. But somewhere along the way, we turned being real into another kind of performance. Like even vulnerability now has to have an aesthetic, which brings me to something I've noticed. We're not just performing success anymore, we are performing authenticity. You know, this is the first trap, and you know what's funny? We have reached a point where even being real has become an aesthetic. It's like, here's me being raw and unfiltered, but only from my good side. We post chai on the balcony photos with captions like slow mornings and gratitude, but we are not sipping chai, we are staging it. We light a diya during puja and instantly think, wait, oh my god, this would look so aesthetic in reels. We are performing peace. We are editing our authenticity to look effortless. And the problem isn't that we're sharing our lives. It is that we're starting to curate our vulnerability. Even messy has visual tone now. Beige, cozy, soft focus. I've done it too. I've filmed my break day while secretly stressing about its engagement because somewhere deep down, I believe that if my life didn't look calm, people would stop seeing me as balanced or inspiring. But here is the truth, peace does not need proof. It is not something that needs to look something. It needs to feel safe. Our mothers didn't say, I'm healing my feminine energy today. They just prayed, made tea, did their work, and took quiet pride in it. That's what real grounded living looked like. No captions, no filters, no validation required. So if you're tired of trying to look real, maybe this is the time you can reclaim the version of yourself that doesn't need an audience to exist. Now, this is the trap number two. Somewhere along the way, glowing up has turned into starting right over from scratch. We have confused growth with deletion. Like every time life feels messy, the answer must be to reinvent, rebrand, restart. And I get it. It feels powerful at first. A new hairstyle, a new planner, a new era. But if every chapter begins with you erasing the last one, are you really growing or just redecorating the same confusion? Our generation has made reinvention a personality type. Every month it's a new vibe. The soft girl, the gym girl, the villain era, the spiritual awakening arc, winter arc. We love the idea of change, but we rarely sit with the silence that actually growth demands. And I say this with love. Growth is not always aesthetic. Sometimes it is ugly, crying at 2 a.m. or sitting in a job you don't love until you figure out your next step. Sometimes it's saying no to another healing trip and yes to actually fixing your finances. Our mothers and grandmothers did not talk about rebranding their lives. They built roots and not eras. Their confidence came from consistency, from doing what needed to be done, even when it was not photogenic, because true evolution does not come from replacing yourself. It comes from refining yourself, keeping the essence, upgrading the mindset. So maybe the next time you feel like reinventing yourself, pause and ask, do I need a new version of me or do I just need to meet myself again? On my trap number three is shopping. Now let's be honest, a lot of what we call self-care today is just shopping in prettier packaging. We tell ourselves, I deserve this, and we do, trust me. But somewhere between the jade roller, the scented candle, and the 15th journal, we never fill. We have mistaken buying peace for building peace. You know, it's that feeling. You had a bad day, so you order something soothing online. It arrives, you unbox it, you feel better for a moment, and then the same emptiness creeps back in. Because what we are really craving is not the product, it's the pause, it's the calm we think that the product will bring. Our earlier generations did not need bath bombs or glow serums to be feel centered or to be in center. They found calm in simple grounding acts, watering the tulsi plant in the morning, folding freshly washed clothes, listening to old songs on the radio while cooking dinner. There was intention behind their every action and not performance. We, on the other hand, have made relaxation another thing to achieve. Rest has become content. Even our me time has to look cinematic. But real peace isn't photogenic. It is in the small, quiet moments you don't post, like finishing something you promised yourself you would, like taking a walk without your phone or forgiving yourself before bed. Because peace is not in the package, it's in the practice. And the day you realize that, you stop trying to fill the void with things and start filling it with truth. So now where do we go from here, right? Because let's be honest, none of us want to live in chaos. We want calm, order, beauty, just not the kind that comes at the cost of our sanity, obviously. So the goal is not to delete Pinterest or stop caring about aesthetics. It is to stop letting aesthetics decide our worth, is what I'm trying to say. It is to shift from chasing a mood board version of life to creating a meaningful one. For me, it started small, asking myself why before I did anything. Why am I buying this? Why am I posting this? Is this truly helping me or just making me feel caught up? And that tiny pause changes everything. Now, here's what is helping me from being aesthetic to authentic. Number one is keep your rituals, lose the pressure. If your skincare, journaling, or morning tea brings you peace, Keep it, but do it for yourself and not for the story. Make it a ritual and not performance. Second is curate your input. Pay attention to what you are feeding your mind. If scrolling leaves you feeling smaller, mute it. Inspiration should ignite you and not erase you. It is okay to follow less and feel more. Or number three is create before you consume. Whether it's writing, filming, doodling, or just thinking, spend time in your own world before entering someone else's. Your originality grows in silence, not in trends. Number four is build from within. Instead of asking, who do I want to look like? Ask, what do I want to feel like? Because once you build a life that feels right, you automatically build one that looks right. When you start living like that, not to prove but just to be, you begin to glow differently. Not that shiny filter glow, but that soft, stable kind. The one that comes from knowing yourself again. So at some point, you stop trying to become aesthetic enough to belong and start realizing you already do. You belong in the moments nobody sees, when your hair is messy, when your desk is chaotic, when you're figuring life out in silence. That is the real canvas. The internet keeps telling us to reinvent, new look, new vibe, new personality every season. But maybe the real glow up is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the parts of you muted just to fit someone else's frame. Because when you stop curating and start feeling, you find beauty again. In the imperfection, in the honesty, the real you. So maybe the goal is not to be that it girl. Maybe it is to be this girl, the one right here, trying, growing, becoming, without a filter, without a script, just you. And that is enough. Thank you so much for staying with me today. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.